everybody, this is Renee Dowling from Reflections Art Studio and Community Classroom. I'd like to show you today my visual journaling entry. It's different than what I normally do. This is sort of what they call junk journaling, even though this isn't really junk to me, but that's what people call it. I thought I would tell you a little bit about my process and show you what it's all about. So I began with a background. I collaged Silent Night lyrics, and how I got the Silent Night lyrics was I went on the internet and downloaded them, and I printed them on paper that I had dyed with some tea that I had left over. I let the paper soak for a couple of days, and then I air dried them, and then I just stuck them in my laser printer, and it printed out really great, so it looks all antique-y. And I took the lyrics and tore them apart, and I made a pocket out of the title, and attached some lace and some glitter and some some ink around the edges. And then I put together some things that I saved over Christmas. So the first thing that I wanted to show you was this little tag. The tag was made by my mother, and each Christmas she tends to make some crafty tags. And I love saving the tags because it has their handwriting on them. And I just kind of dyed this as well to make it match the rest of the page, and added some glitter and then this little piece of lace and some cheesecloth that I dyed with distress ink. And then on the inside, then I have a record of her signature again, but I also pasted other tags from other people. And this one's from Santa Claus, and I just wrote down Santa has some writing, and then did some journaling about how I like Christmas, or how I like gift tags. And then it's sort of that it reminded me of my grandma and how crafty she was. And then on the back, I also included a tag from my husband, and it's from Coca-Cola, and I kind of giggled about that. And so I put Coca-Cola. I prefer Pepsi, just kind of as a joke, which I do actually like Pepsi better. And then I also took a photograph of my husband when he was taking cookies out of the oven. And so I took the photo, again, I laser printed the photo onto, again, tea-dyed paper, and then I folded it up so that if I wanted to, I could just show the oven or have different choices. And then I left room at the bottom so that I could journal about my husband. This is about him saying he doesn't have a sweet tooth when he's the one that always wants to make cookies and buy slushes and stuff like that. Anyways, and then on the back, I laser printed the sugar cookie recipe, and then also wrote about Christmas cookies and making them and some little history, which is kind of a neat little keepsake. And I called it The Sweetest Baker. And then here is a little bookmark that I made, and I just added some lace onto the top, and but let it snow. Added some glitter, of course, and then on the back did some more journaling about building a snowman for the first time in my past year with some two sisters that came out spend the whole day here making art. And then here is another gift tag that I say, actually it's not a gift tag, it's a wrapper from chocolate. And then I folded it, added a gift tag again from Santa, and then took some time to write about how thoughtful Santa is, and then how Jeffrey always fusses in the morning on Christmas, make sure everything is just right. And then on the back of Jeffrey's tag from Santa, I wrote, Santa looked a lot like Jeffrey, or Jeffrey looked a lot like him. Some lyrics from a favorite Buck Owens song. So the fun part about this is that you can do a bunch of layers, but then also have some surprises. And then the trickiest part was trying to make everything look like it belonged together. There we go. So on this side, I left it white originally, but then it stood out too much. So then I added some dye around the outside and some tissue paper. And then I started embellishing it. So this is a little watercolor painting that I did of poinsettia, practicing for when some clients came out, and added some lace and some glitter to make sure it matched the other side. Then added a title, A Quiet Christmas. And we had a quiet Christmas just like everybody else, if you followed these restrictions, that is. We were lucky enough that the restrictions were lifted for single people, and we were allowed to include 2 single people. So we had my son and my aunt come out, but it was still a quiet Christmas. And so then I also included one of the ornaments that I made, and we printed it out and glued it onto this little doily. And then on the back, I I glued on some tea-dyed paper, and then did some journaling about the pandemic and Christmas. And then here is, again, a little gift tag, which is from my son to my husband. And I just glued it onto an old playing card, and also decoupaged some wrapping paper that I really liked. So it made it nice and stiff. And then inside I found some lyrics from a religious songbook, and the song was called The Fountain of Joy. So I cut out some of the lyrics and put it on some stiffer watercolor paper. And then I wrote about, some of the lyrics say, smile on my lips. So I wrote about how Brian Cumming put smile on my lips. And then Fountain of Joy in my heart, and a little bit more about my son Brian. And then a little bit about playing music with Aunt Joyce, Jeffrey, and myself and Brian at Christmas. And so it's just kind of a fun little way to disguise some journaling. And then here, of course, then I did some more journaling. And then this is something new. I did this little snippet. So I took a piece of paper and then glued with a dab of glue all these different fabrics. So I have some lace and some cheesecloth, some wrapping paper, some more paper just from a magazine, and then some lace, and then just zigzagged across and glued it in. So then it became a pocket at the bottom, like that. So it just holds everything in. Then I just tried to make sure that the colors were repeated. So there's the principles of art are 3. So red, 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 and then there's red, red there. And then greens, so greens were repeated, and golds. Then I just had a little finishing touch, and I had this little piece of paper with music on it. So I thought I would include that too. So here's another example of visual journaling, and or some people call junk journaling. And so if you're not quite feel like your art skills aren't up to snuff, you can do things like this and just put things that you save inside the pockets. And it's a little keepsake, and it gets it out of your junk drawer and out of those boxes. And then actually you can take some time to enjoy them instead of hiding them in a box. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this. And stay tuned for some more coming up soon.